She's here to discuss her own creative consultancy, Think Farm, and let me see what's in
Think
store
Farm.
for us.
Farm.
Farm.
Okay.
Hello. Hi, everyone. So I'm here. I just want to. Oh, okay. Well, I'll start now. How many of you actually read all your product manuals? How many of you actually know how your HD TV works inside out? And do you really care? I'm here to talk to you about the consumer and the consumer's role in innovation. So if we were to look at the future, what would our future look like? What would our role be in 2020? We might be robots, we might not be robots, we don't know. I think we can all agree in this complex world that our understanding of the products that we own is becoming more and more important. But does anyone really care? The late Steve Jobs actually said an interesting quote, which is, consumers don't know what they really want until you show them. The truth is, I didn't know I wanted an iPad till I saw it. I didn't know I needed to be on Facebook until I was on it. So it might actually be true. A prime example of this would be the Nintendo Wii. In the 90s, the word Nintendo was synonymous with the gaming console world, and everyone had a Nintendo who was cool. Unfortunately, this was no longer the case in the late 90s. A resurrection of this in the form of the Wii changed the way everyone interacted with gaming. So when you look at something like the Wii, if the Nintendo actually followed the conventional role of product development and the involvement of the consumer, do you really think that they would have actually reached these results? I to be honest, don't think so. And I think the results would have been much smaller, and the impact on the market would have been much more minuscule. One thing that you need to know about innovation is that you need to know the basics of the functionality of a product or service. And you mustn't neglect that when you're developing anything around you. So if you think of glasses and you think, is it innovation a reaction to a demand? Or so I can't see, so I need to wear my glasses, so someone will develop lenses for that? Or is it something else? Is it something that where you are actually supplying a product and creating that kind of demand for it? Two prime examples would be the iPad and Dubai. The iPad is actually a simple example of creating something that's unnecessary, but everyone wants it right now. And Dubai is interesting. It's an interesting example of branding and marketing innovation, because they were selling a product and everyone bought into the lifestyle of that product. So if we were to take this road, some would argue that consumers are just sheep, so we just create anything and just put it out there with the right tools and with the right development and marketing. You can sell anything you want to sell. So basically you're obeying whatever the top-down effect of whatever you have. But at whose expense and at what expense are you doing this? As long as you have the core functions of your product or service covered and deliver, then anything is game. The trick is to know the difference between consumer-centric innovation and consumer-based innovation. And so you can't really ignore the consumer. It's also the way you speak to people. So two approaches that you can actually use when you deal with the consumer is talking about the various points in the process of development. And two examples that innovation actually tell you about is open innovation. As you can see, open innovation is the idea where you bring all sources in. So anyone who has an idea, anyone who has an opinion can come and help you develop your product. So the funnel actually has holes in it because people are supposed to give input at any time you're developing your product or service. This is closed innovation. Closed innovation is more the involvement of the consumer is only at the end of the product. So the consumer would be involved in like developing a color or seeing how what kind of packaging would be attractive, but that's where their input ends. They don't really help you develop the actual product or service. If what you need to actually look at is in your personal life, if you want to innovate within your surroundings, the best way is to look at this is to simplify the equation. So you need to look at who you're talking to, how do they function, where you fit in within that certain area or environment, and why does it matter. So what we like to do at Think Farm is provide you with an effective, sustainable solution and strategy throughout through research, through ethnographic research, through different types of interactions with the consumer or with the person that you need to speak to or deal with, and to help you grow as an individual, as well as an organization. So whether you're a startup or whether you're a large organization, there's always room to innovate within that, whether it be small or big. So if we go back to who's in our equation, the who part, if you observe and understand the people around you and you actually discuss the results, you would find a definition for yourself. And where do you fit in? What makes you different? Your positioning, so you're figuring out where you fit in within this environment, how you can reach your goal, and where in the world you matter. So this is something that would definitely alter the approach to getting what you want. So innovation is about deriving insight from who you're developing for, and then developing new and creative ways to connect with these people, so the missing dots of your business would be solved, and then developing and implementing strategy to make everything happen. So it's kind of like simplified in 3 stages. And an example of what we do is ethnographic research. You might be surprised at the Walker's Crisps. It's actually, it deals with how people interact with a product, and looking at it from a really outsider's point of view. So not really asking people questions, because people tend to lie, and discourse analysis, which is the study of signs. So I hope I gave you a little bit of info about innovation and what Think Farm does, and hopefully you can adopt this in your daily life, and I guess change things and change the way you interact with people, and how you develop in your general life. So thank you for your time. Thanks, Noof.